What is up, everybody? It is a Tuesday morning, and the Champions League is back. I was so pumped getting ready for this that I had to jump on. I'm like, Lee, I need you back, man. I need to talk to somebody about this to get my excitement out. Glad to have Lee Snyder of Number Ball DFS back on. Lee, how has it been going, man?
I'm good, man. It's been a little while. I'm happy to be here, and I mean, this is the soccer slate we have been waiting for. 6 games, no staggered start times. I mean,
Yes.
it's been way too long.
I'll tell you, I think Jordan Cooper coined this the best DFS sweat, the best 2 hours of DFS. I couldn't agree more. And you know what is not the best DFS sweat? 8 hours of Premier League.
There's almost nothing worse.
No. So I'm super hyped, and the great news on these slates too. What had happened like 2 years ago, the 12:55 slates our time. So you get a little appetizer with a 2-gamer, and then the main slate being 6. So it should be a great day of soccer. I am looking forward to it. Just a quick reminder: bottom right of the screen, hit the subscribe button. Lee will tell you he wants you to subscribe to FSI as well, but. All jokes aside, we are very close to 1,000 subscribers. Every single one helps. So please, bottom right, please hit that subscribe so you can see all the great stuff that we're doing. And then Lee, why don't you quick plug where they can find you and your content?
Yeah, I'm still over at Number Ball. It's a really good time to jump on board just because a ton of Champions League now, EPL in full swing, so lots of soccer content.
Yep, and I get us all the time, like projections, things like that. Mr. Lee has got you covered. So let's jump into the slate, because that is what we're here for, and that is what we're pumped about. So I'm going to start us off. I'm going to pull up our odds and just kind of how we're going to do this today, which is the departure from some other places out there, is we really want to kind of take this down game by game. Not going to go like crazy intense into any given game, but just give you guys an overview of who we like from a given game, what we think is going to happen, in hopes that will help you with your build. So we're actually going to start off. I'm just going to go numerically on the sheet. We're not going to go over the early slate, but we're going to go to Sevilla at Chelsea, which, Lee, I don't know about you, and I guess I'll go the odds. Chelsea is a slight favorite, plus 105, Sevilla's plus 285, 2.75 total. I don't know about you, Lee. This was a game at first. I was kind of in my head just like crossing off aside from maybe like 1 to 2 plays. And the more I think about Kepa in goal, I'm just like, there could be some really interesting GPP plays here. What is your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of had the same thought when we found out that Kepa was going to start over the weekend for Chelsea. I mean, I wrote in my article that I just had zero faith in Chelsea keeping a clean sheet, and I was looking at who were they playing? I forget now, but
Something. I had a lot of Danny Ings too.
Yeah. So I thought Ings made a lot of sense in GPP. And no different here. If Mendy's out, Kepa's in. I don't want to touch Kepa, and I think some Sevilla guys could be GPP plays. But the problem is there's not one I really like. None of them have been playing great to start the season. So
correct. I mean, normally, and here's my thoughts too on possessionally. I still think Chelsea's going to have a lot of possession, where you're trying to get them, and like why, I don't read your articles on Sunday behind the paywall, but like the only guys in the Southampton I was considering was Che Adams and Danny Ings, because I thought possessionally they were going to be dominated. So you're just looking for that counterattack goal. I don't think that you get a ton of faith. Rostering Luke de Jong doesn't exactly like where I like to park my car.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially when we're going to talk about some other forwards down in
Yeah.
that price range, it's why do you go there?
Yep. But this is where I will say Luke de Jong and Lucas Ocampos. Like if either one of them shows up with the goal, like I could really see that. I don't know where Suso's priced at 5,000. That's probably not where I want to go. He's right in where American Wonder Boy Gio Reyna is, so it'd be hard for me to ever click Suso. But I think that if you want to just go for a really low owned goal, I don't think Ocampos or de Jong will be much more than like 5% owned.
Yeah, agreed.
Chelsea side of things, I think that the fullbacks personally are warrant consideration. Ben Chilwell, as you can see on the cheat sheet, I'll flick back here, but it's been really Chilwell or James on the sets. Mount really only if like the two of them are gone. So I think that both of them weren't consideration. We actually haven't seen them together. What are your thoughts? Like, do you think that they would split if they both play?
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you the same thing. I think we'd see a split there, and if Mount was on the field too, I still think it would be Chilwell and James.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I mean Chilwell, like if you've watched any of the Chelsea games, I mean he's like playing as a attacking midfielder almost. I mean he's always up there near the box. So yeah, he's definitely a nice play. I mean, as is James. Those are the two guys I would first target from Chelsea.
Yeah, and I think, obviously from there, here's just my biggest question, I guess, to you is Sevilla for now, like the better portion of since restart has been an awesome defensive team. So it really gives me pause of going like, I really want to target Timo Werner or I want to target, Pulisic. Like none of these guys really have floors. Like you have to get a goal.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at where Werner and Pulisic are priced, it's
Right.
kind of intriguing. But yeah, they are going to need a goal or an assist really to pay that off. So it's tough.
I mean, we could take Oscar Rodriguez 9,900. That made me laugh. He's not barely even played for them, but yeah, I don't know where they came up with that one. But yeah, Timo Werner. I mean, I think that for me, it's just those four: Werner, Pulisic, Chilwell, and James from Chelsea. I can't. I'm not paying 8,200 for Kai when I could have Werner for 1,000 cheaper.
Yeah, I mean, what if Tammy Abraham starts? Do you have any interest there?
No,
Okay.
not in Europe. Not in Europe. I mean, that's the guy that you can play versus West Brom. I mean, no, I can't trust that. All right, we're gonna go to the barn burner next. Rennes versus Krasnodar. Anything here, Lee?
Yeah, I just have very little interest in this entire match. I think you got the set piece taker for Rennes, Borregard.
Who's on Monopoly now that Raffiana, or how I say his name, is in Leeds. But
yeah, but again, he's not so enticing based on his price that I'm really thinking about it. And then I think Krasnodar is the team that has like a bunch of the guys have COVID. Some of them didn't travel.
oh man, I didn't see that because
Yeah, so
I had in this game.
So that one's, I mean, who knows what that lineup's going to look like? Maybe you get like a 3K level set piece taker, but again,
The issue we might not know. We might not know for sure. It's been Remy Cabella recently for a little bit of time. It was Tony Vilhena. We've seen Wanderson. So I don't know.
Yeah, I guess Wanderson and Cabella are probably out, is what I'm hearing. So
then it'll be
even
Vilhena's in, then he'll take. And I mean, he's a central line player. Like, let's look at his price real fast. I mean, I'm still scrolling, so I guess that's a good news, right? The 4,900 now. No thanks.
Yeah,
American Wonder Boy. Wonder Boy. All right, so that's that game. I'll just say this, especially if Remy Cabella and Wanderson, two of their better attackers, are out. Maybe fire up the Rennes goalkeeper. Rennes has actually been really good in defensively in Europe. And then typically these teams coming out of Russia, I think Krasnodar is Russia, but or it's in Ukraine, one of the two. Anyhow, those teams typically struggle with the travel. So that could be just a random thought for, goalie, which, do whatever you want. I'd never get goalie right. So, all right, let's go to one where I think a lot of people are, from what I've seen, there might be some miniature hype trains coming on for Dortmund versus Lazio. I'm going to let you start off because I have a checkered history with Dortmund. So hard for me to love them.
Yeah, I think for both of these teams, you don't love them for DFS just because you don't see a lot of peripheral scoring.
Yes.
Not a lot of crossing, not a ton of shots necessarily. So at the prices both of them are at, I'm having a hard time getting really excited, but I don't want to steal your thunder. There is one Dortmund play that I know we both like.
We got the American Wonder Boy, Gio Reyna. Me and you were talking beforehand that you haven't gotten a chance to watch a ton of Bundesliga. I watched a lot. I've been watching a lot just for the sake of watching Gio Reyna, and he's just on another level right now. It's actually kind of crazy. The play is being routed through Reyna more than Sancho. And I'll say this too after watching. I actually have a lot of respect for Jadon Sancho. You would think somebody with as much hype as he's gotten that he would like, be pouty and stuff like that. And he's like very much on board with Gio kind of running the show. And he's, his numbers are down a little bit, but I don't think anybody's thinking less of Jadon Sancho. It's just interesting. You see a lot of selfish players out there to see Sancho be so unselfish. But Reina taking a majority of set pieces. Sancho jumps on a few. But 5,100, he's playing like a 10 role behind Haaland, behind Sancho. I think it's a phenomenal price tag. I do expect him to be really, really popular in cash.
Yeah, I think he's an awesome play playing in an advanced role, taking most sets. I know some, sites are not showing him as a projected starter, but I don't.
No chance.
I'm not reading too much into that.
He's like, honestly, at this point, I think he's one of the first guys on Favre's starting sheet. Like, he's that important to the team. He's been that good for them. So I can't imagine. And let's be real, like, Lazio is in a terrible, terrible form. So I think that's why there might be a little bit of hype on Dortmund. So, but for me, and I'm curious on your opinion, I'm not like about these wingbacks from Dortmund at all. Like, they get ahead in the attack, but they're not here to cross. And then the worst part of what DK did is they're not defender eligible. Guerrero and Munier are both midfield only, which to me, I need upside from there. I'm not looking for 4 crosses and just praying for a goal. So if I'm targeting or doing any sort of Dortmund stack, it's like Reina, Sancho, and Haaland. And that's it for me. How about yourself?
I think it depends on the system they play, because if they are going to use them as true wingbacks, like a 3-4-3 or 3-5-2.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I think I have no problem using them in, if you're like multi-entry GPP, just because we've seen Guerrero and Munier both put up like 40-point DK games. I mean, I'm not saying it's likely, but right. I think there's enough there for me to take a couple shots.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're MMEing and you're just going, I'm going to do a full Dortmund stack that they might go lower owned, I think they're going to win 3-0, then you can fire them. But I think, to me, in Champions League, it's so much about goals. So often when we have these big favorites, which we're going to get to next, it's less about capturing the floors and it's so much more about capturing goals. So to me, when you lock into – let's be real, like the reason that you're considering them, or like if somebody would consider, is because of the price and the position on the play, not because you think they're going to show up with 2 goals. So I just don't want to give up some of my roster equity. I guess that's where I'm boiling down to on it. But look, the longer I hate Guerrero, me and you go back into our Bundesliga, the more I hate on Guerrero, the better chance he has of like showing up with 50. So
yeah, he had that streak when like Bundesliga was the only thing where he scored in like 3 or 4 games in a row.
That was like so much money gone, like because I kept on like being stubborn and going, he's only going to take 2 corners to have 3 crosses, and it would be like, yeah, but he scored 30 points.
See, that's what got you, Keith. People were playing him for the set pieces, and then he was taking 1 or 2 and scoring goals. I get, that's frustrating.
That was, it was a tilting like week and a half or 2 weeks of that. But anyhow, let's jump over to the Lazio side, because I do think it might just be worth bearing mentioning. I think it's crazy that Immobile and Alberto are priced above like Haaland and Sancho personally. So I don't think Lazio is going to have any ownership at all. I do also worry about them being dominated possessionally. The only thing I'll say tactically is Lazio and like how they were so good in Serie A last year was playing on the counter. So if Dortmund commits too many numbers forward, potentially maybe you could get a really low Immobile goal. That's probably the only thing I'm considering. How about you?
Yeah, I just don't have a lot of interest in Lazio.
Better spot.
I mean, Haaland's got better scoring odds and he's cheaper, so it's just.
Yep. I mean, literally, it would just be just a full-out leverage play. And, like, if I did it, it would be Immobile, and then I would run it back with where stretch Schloka or whatever, 4,600. You have to run it. At that point, you have to do a correlative play. And it's that I think it's going to be a counter. So I think Dortmund's going to have a ton of attacking, like, upside. So I'm going to run their goalie, hope that he gets, like, 9 saves, run it back, Immobile over the top or something like that. All right, let's go to the next game, which here's where it starts and where I'm hoping to get you, Lee. So I don't remember the name of the team. It doesn't matter. The team that's going to get dominated versus Barcelona. Um, so let me ask you this, Lee Snyder of Numberball DFS. If his name was Anton Greasy Girl versus Antoine Griezmann at 5,900 as a minus 1,100 favorite, playing either a wing or some sort of inverted striker, would you have any hesitation on clicking a lock button on Antoine Griezmann?
No, I wouldn't.
Okay, so now that you know his name is Antoine Griezmann, he's 5,900 for Barcelona, playing the same type of position. Are you just going to be locking him in?
Man, and you knew this was coming. He just does not look anywhere near the player that he was before he moved to Barcelona, especially in the last 6 months. Now, that being said, that is a very, I guess you could say it's subjective, but if you have watched Barcelona play, just is not involved. But all that being said, you're talking about a sub 6K forward on the biggest favorite on the slate with 50%, implied odds to score. So, if we're being objective about it, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think that's like the most interesting thing to me. I really do think that, Antoine Griezmann is the decision of the slate. It's going to decide so much money because I think a lot of people that, actually it might hurt people more that watch a lot of soccer and follow a lot of soccer that understand how much of a struggle he's had. Because here's the thing. I think if Martin Brathwaite was playing the same position as him, I don't even know if Brathwaite's on the team. It looks like he is. But if it was Martin Brathwaite at 5,900, I think he would be chalk. But because it's Antoine Griezmann, who is a more skilled player, right? But we know his struggles. He can't figure out, the Messi correlation, like the real, you can hear all the pundits, but they play the same position. They occupy the same spaces. Messi's always going to take. Now we have hesitation, and I just think it's crazy. I think I'm just going to I think you just have to plant your flag and decide. And I think my flag is going to go on to I'm just going to pretend his name isn't Antoine Griezmann and just play him.
Yeah, we'll get to it, but there's an option in the same price range that I like just about as much.
Okay. Yeah. Or how about both?
Well, there's another way to go.
I like it. So let's get off of Griezmann because here's the reality, and something that people on our FSI Discord, I always is Griezmann a good play? And I said if he scores a goal, he's a good play, and that's just like any striker. So often is a striker a good play? If they don't have a floor and they don't have set pieces, and you can't project 5-6 fouls drawn for them. If they score a goal, they're a good play. If they didn't score a goal, they were a terrible play. That's so much soccer sometimes when it comes to goal scores. So Messi fade on Lee?
Yeah, no Messi exposure
here. So I think that it's the first click for everybody in this slate, and for good reason. The only hesitation I would have, and maybe I've done one fade, is did you see the Ronald Koeman line yesterday?
No.
Said to the press, I really don't think Messi's playing very well right now. So, I don't know if that's lighting the fire or what, but we'll see. I just wonder if Messi just you know what, screw you, I'm leaving.
I feel like that's going to light a fire.
I think so too. I think it'll be 4 goals, and he turns back around, and it's I don't know what he would say, but yeah. I'm not fading Messi as a minus 1,200 favorite to a team that I can't. Look, I'm about as diehard of a soccer fan as you'll have, and I can't remember this team's name. So that should say something.
Yeah, I wish I could step up here, but I don't know.
It doesn't really matter. Let's be real. It doesn't really matter. Philippe Coutinho, 8,400. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, he's gonna have some sets, but at that price, he needs to get on the score sheet. But great matchup. Definitely have some interest and exposure to him.
Yep, I think I'm the same way. I mean, look, I think if you're building 10 lineups and you don't do an all-out Barcelona stack in case they score 6 or 7 here, you're probably doing it wrong. But Messi, Coutinho, whatever we want to call Griezmann makes you feel better, him. And then how about Ansu Fati?
Yeah, I think he's a great play as well. I mean, I would love it if Trincao gets a start, but I don't. I mean, okay. Let's just hypothetically say he starts. Is he just an automatic lock at
Yeah.
3.5K?
Yeah, it doesn't matter what his name is at that point. It's just like in past years in the EPL, for a few weeks when you get one of these kids that's kind of more like the youth team, but they start at like 3.2 on a minus 500 favorite. Like you don't think about it. And that was kind of my point with like Griezmann, like if I tell you have a minus 1200 favorite and a guy that's going to be involved in the attack and he's sub 6K, you're just playing him. Doesn't really matter. Only thing I'll just say on Barcelona, every attacker's in play. Where I think you draw the line is I don't necessarily think that your fullbacks are cash viable at all. Serginho Dest or Sergei Roberto, not crossers. It's not their role on the team. You absolutely can show up with an assist, but I think at their prices you can do much better. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think what's Furpo priced at? Because
Is he scheduled to start? 3,100. So yeah,
if he's in, I'm taking a shot there. But yeah, otherwise, I think the Barcelona fullbacks are a little overpriced for what they do in that system.
Oh yeah, 3,100. I mean, if he starts, I think he becomes like a slate chalk too. So yeah, good look there. I didn't see him.
Yeah, because Alba's out, and then I don't know if Dest is going to get another start. So
I guess that's true. I didn't think about that. I know that when he went out, Dest shifted over to the left, and Dest can play on either side, and I think it was Roberto on the right. So I didn't really think twice that they could start Firpo. I kind of hope for that now.
Yeah.
All right. I think we did enough at Barcelona. So reality, play all of them. They're all in play. All right. I want to go to kind of one of my more interesting spots, which I think is Man U versus PSG. PSG minus 180 favorite. We've got the big three for PSG all back. Big news on Manchester United is they decided to leave the remnants of their defense back at home with Harry Maguire and Eric Bailly not making the trip. So, Lee, what are your thoughts on this game?
I mean, I don't even know if that hurts or helps United at this point, the way their defense is playing.
Yeah, go ahead, then I'll give my thoughts on
that. Yeah, I mean, United just looks terrible so far this season. PSG obviously made it to the final last year. That's why they're pretty sizable favorites here at home. So I think there's definitely some merit here in targeting PSG, even if you feel like they're overpriced, just because I could see a Man U collapse that would not be out of the realm of possibility here.
Yeah, and kind of I was thinking before getting on my run, I was kind of thinking about things and started thinking about who's going to be on the back line for Man U. And I don't remember what game it was, but they got torn up before the COVID break when they put McTominay back in the back three, and he was all out of sorts. You got like Lindelof, who's been out of sorts since he got there. You might be putting Luke Shaw back in like a left center back situation. I just think it could be a disaster.
Or Matic might have to go back there.
Can you imagine Nemanja Matic, Lindelof, and like McTominay trying to mark Neymar, Di Maria, and Mbappe together? Like that just sounds like a disaster.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be licking my chops if like a mid-table EPL team was facing that defense.
Right, and you'd just be going, here's a random thought. This could have been like the Bournemouth versus United, and be like, man, this might be Callum Wilson's day, or Josh King's day. But no, here's what this is my big question, because so coming into this, PSG was my favorite GPP stack, thinking and my thoughts being that very few people are going to find the salary to put Neymar, Mbappe, and I didn't even play around with it if Di Maria fits. That's just so much salary to commit when you see Barcelona as minus 1,000 favorite. You see Leipzig coming up as minus 400 favorite. Is Neymar going to still be – is he going to actually be pretty popular though? Like, I don't know where to go on that.
I mean, I think in higher stakes, maybe some sharper people see that easy pivot off Messi and the leverage there. So maybe he is a little higher on than we think. But I think in some of the lower stakes contests, like people just click Messi and then they find out they can't also get Neymar, and then Neymar goes under-owned and he could just have a field day. So
see, I was back and forth if the name recognition of Neymar and Mbappe were going to carry enough weight that they're actually fairly popular. But I just don't think roster construction personally, where I've made, has really led you to easy routes to either. So I think I like the idea of just stacking them up and just seeing if you can get a United collapse. Because one thing we know is, especially after watching, I'm sure as a Spurs fan, you'll be glad to see it. Wasn't like United kept a lot of heart in that game.
No, I mean, yeah, they gave up pretty quickly.
Right. So that's just kind of my thoughts or my hopes is they go down 2-0. Everybody's pointing the fingers at each other and they just fold. And then Solskjaer takes Bruno off at half again because that was such a good move. I just can see the situations where, PSG show up with 4 goals.
Yeah, like I don't know how much you buy into this, but I can tell you, like as a Spurs fan in particular, like sometimes you just get this sense that there's just like a bad vibe, a bad energy around the team, and I very much am getting that with United right now, even after they won against Newcastle.
Yeah, and the only thought would be is after I probably watched it like 20 times on replay, but that goal that they got playing out of the back where it was Van der Beek, Bruno, and Rashford just looking on a different world, like that's the type of maybe goal that maybe could help salvage some things. But I just think that if, Mbappe shows up in the 3rd minute, scores a goal, Neymar shows up in the 10th minute, scores another goal, just the fingers start pointing and all that bad vibes come back.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. So you're kind of on board the PSG, maybe a GPP train or even potentially cash viable.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd say cash viable, but I definitely like the GPP angle. Yeah.
I would not be shocked if people try to jam in Neymar and Messi. I think you're giving up a lot of equity on the rest of your lineup, but we've seen there's going to be some value that pops up where people can probably do it. I just think that you might be giving up Leipzig, who I think we're both going to love here in a second. You're going to give up Leipzig exposure, who I think could easily show up and have the most goals on the slate.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool. We're on the same page there. Anything from Man U other than bad vibes?
No, I really have just about zero interest in them.
Yeah, I think Bruno. If you take my head-to-heads, people, please play Bruno. I will take my chances. I love Bruno the player. I think I was on last week saying even before the KDB news that was Bruno greater than KDB. Just when Mahrez is on, I kind of downgrade De Bruyne, and I love Bruno's role. But that was a role versus a bunkering Steve Bruce team. Like this is going to be United could struggle getting out of their half. I could very see them struggling to get through this press.
Yeah, I mean, let's remind people last season in the UCL, PSG was the best defense. They only allowed 6 goals in 11 games in the Champions League. I mean, that's absurd.
And we just saw, and you look. Let's be real. I mean, it sucked because I was like deep into GPP sweats with a lot of United fades and Darlow everywhere, and then all of a sudden the last 5 minutes happened. I'm like, oh my god, I almost didn't cash. But I mean, they struggled for 80 minutes versus Newcastle. So I don't know. PSG's a different animal.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think we exhausted United. That was too much. We're like ESPN. We're just going to spend too much time on United. All right, final game is Leipzig versus I don't know. I don't say their name right. I know it's like Istanbul Bakshir or something like that. But anyhow, minus 400 favorite for Leipzig, who I absolutely love as a DFS team, as a team to watch. They are certainly not a team that has any problem winning 6-0 on teams. And Istanbul is in a huge struggle in their own league. So, Lee, explain to me why this isn't just a massive, massive nuke spot for Leipzig pieces.
Yeah, I honestly don't understand the pricing on Leipzig.
God.
I mean it's kind of a head scratcher.
Remember last year they did this too though with the other Red Bull team. It was Red Bull Salzburg, I think, was playing Gent the first game, and like Holland was 5,700. Sozonaldo, I can't say his full name, so our chat calls him Sozonaldo after that free kick, was like 4,500. It was just like all these crazy pieces, and I feel like they did it again right here.
Yeah, and it's not like Leipzig is unknown at this point. I mean, they've been crushing it the last couple seasons in the UCL. So anyway, yeah, I mean, you could stack this entire team
and still play Messi. And still play Messi. So who do you got? Who are your faves? Just go down your favorite players. I'm sure I'm going to be the same.
Yeah, I mean, Angelino is getting slotted right into my lineup. It's just too easy. I mean, especially if Nkunku's out, then Angelino takes even more corners. And then, well, I alluded to it earlier. I really like Poulsen at 6,100 if he starts.
Poulsen.
And he's a great, if you don't feel comfortable with Griezmann, you just play Poulsen instead. He's got, great matchup as well, similar scoring odds. And Nkunku, if he starts, he's too cheap.
Yep.
He's the primary set piece taker when he's on. And then, I mean, I want to see their lineup because, we could get another relatively underpriced defender at wingback, perhaps. You could get Tyler Adams at min price playing. But there's just so much to like.
I'm with you. And the coolest part is, and you can testify this as a Spurs fan, that's probably like the last game that I watched full of. But, in the Champions League last year, they just came out and attacked pardon my French, but attacked the shit out of Spurs. And that's the only way they know how to play is just full out press, full out intensity. And Istanbul, like I mentioned, is in like really, really terrible form domestically. So I don't think that this is exactly the best time to be catching a team like Leipzig.
No, I believe they're top of the Bundesliga, right? They're playing very well.
They're playing very well. And people, want to kind of downgrade them because they don't have Werner. Patrick Schick was really good for them. They don't have him. But look, here's I don't think it's going to happen. But if you did see Sorloth at the start of that line, I mean, he just wrecked international slate midweek. He looked so good with Holland. So, at 9,200, he wouldn't be owned if he started. So even something like that, I think, is in play. I will say this. A year ago, we were playing Danny Olmo all the time I can't remember the name of his team that he was running, but he is very much finally settling in at Leipzig and just running the show. He's an extraordinary talent. I don't think he's going to be that owned because of the price, and he doesn't really take set pieces for them. So I think from stack perspective, I really like Danny Olmo, combine him with Angelino, Poulsen, and maybe if you really want to be different, if the other attacker is like Forsberg or Nkunku, just doing something like that, I think makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, I want a piece of every attacker from this team, especially if I'm entering multiple lineups. It's such a good spot. And like you said, I could easily see them scoring the most goals on the slate.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, I think maybe Barcelona at this point needs a good ass whipping on somebody. So maybe they won't take but Barcelona will just still meander around, and, they do have some older pieces. So, maybe you see some subs, maybe you see things like that. I just don't think Leipzig has it in them. I think Leipzig only knows one speed. And we've seen them destroy teams in the Bundesliga. I don't see why they would all of a sudden take the foot off the gas in the Champions League.
Yeah, they're just going to keep pushing it.
Yeah, so I love that. I'm glad that we're on board. I'm glad you didn't come on here and go, what do you mean Leipzig? I love it. So, I mean, let's kind of wrap up everything with this. I do kind of want to do this with people. So outside of Messi, and I'll say Angelino, because I think unanimously, and I hope the industry unanimously will say those two are who you need to build around. But give me your confidence play or one of your favorite plays that you plan to build around outside of those two.
Yeah, it's going to be Poulsen or Griezmann. I just think the situations that both of them are in are just too good. And if people are afraid to click those names, then even better.
Okay, I like that. I think mine at the time being, I think Gio Reyna price wise is just probably a little bit too slick at 5,100. So I think that will just be kind of one of my confidence play. I feel really good of him getting 9 to 10 with some upsides. Last thing is favorite GPP stack.
Favorite GPP stack. I mean, I feel like it's a little too obvious to say Leipzig or Barcelona.
I think Barcelona.
Yeah, I'm going to say PSG.
Okay. Love that.
Getting a couple PSG attackers in there. Maybe I stole that from you.
It's fine because I'll mention the other one that I had. So I had mentioned to our chat that I really like the PSG attack because I just thought they might go under-owned. I think just a full out Leipzig stack, Lee. I don't think that that's going to go that owned, to be honest with you. I think the likes of Neymar, the likes of Messi, the likes of Holland. I mean, that's at this point, that's a worldwide name. I think people are going to see him at 8,000. That maybe is almost too good to pass on, and they're going to all of a sudden not end up in this range. Like I don't think they're going to end up with Poulsen. Like I don't think people woke up this morning and going, you know who I'm excited to play, like a casual, not a soccer player, but man, this Youssef Poulsen guy from Leipzig, that I like him. I don't see that.
Yeah, maybe I'm doing the thing of like living in the DFS soccer bubble and like overthinking it. Yeah, Leipzig might be actually. They probably will not be as owned as they should be out, from some casuals. So
yeah,
that's a good point.
Yeah, so I think sometimes we make a mistake on these huge slates of sometimes overthinking, and just becomes kind of like let's just play the stuff that makes sense. So I think I love the PSG look. I love full out Barcelona stacks. I think a lot of people might stop at like Messi plus Grease or Messi plus Coutinho and not finish it with like Fati, Griezmann, Coutinho, and Messi. So I think you might see a lot of people not go the whole route, and the same deal with Leipzig. So I think if you're playing multiple entries, doing something like that makes a lot of sense. Like there have been a lot of GPPs won Champions League with full out stacks.
Oh yeah, that's very much in play today.
Yeah. And we'll have to talk about that again tomorrow with Man City and full stacks. And I haven't looked at the games. I don't know if Man City's playing a good, but they typically have been a team that can hang 7 goals in the Champions League. So outside of that, Lee, this is awesome, man. Glad to have you back on. Thank you for your time. And at that point, I don't think we have anything else. So y'all have a good day. Good luck, Lee. Any last words?
No, man. Thanks for having me back. It was fun. I'm just so excited for this slate. Finally, a big slate of soccer. It's going to be an awesome sweat, and we get to do it again on Wednesday.
Yes, sir. All right, guys. Good luck. Thanks again. See you.